Where in the world should you look for jobs, and which areas of expertise have the best content? This and more in this month's Q&A, coming up. Hello and welcome back to the Freelanceverse. Thanks so much for tuning in once again this week. As you can see, I'm in a very unfamiliar place. I'm in Marrakesh at the moment. I just spent more or less 10 days traveling through Morocco and it was an amazing experience. And this is my last day, so I wanted to use it to film a video. Of course, this is going to be a rather quick one. I don't have a lot of time and there are people in the background, so it's a bit weird, but it's okay. So I thought we'd do a Q&A. That's the easiest form. As always, I answer the questions from the last Q&A video. So if you want to be featured in the next one, make sure to ask your questions down below. Okay, as always, I have the questions here on my phone, so let's get straight into it. Question number 1 from Naruto. Hey Adrian, very nice video. I'm a beginner in this field and have to tell you it's been very disheartening not being able to find any jobs whatsoever. I've been sending many emails to agencies though, so let me ask, usually how long does it take for a company to reply and send a first job? First of all, I'm very sorry, Naruto, that you have to go through this experience, but everyone has, right? It is just like this. You have to send 50, 100, hundreds of emails until someone actually replies. It is very tough, but that's the business part. If you want to do this with emails, then it will take a lot of time because you can't really make a personal connection through emails, right? What is better, if you talk to someone, if you go to conferences, if you meet them in person, if you have video calls with people, then you can probably get quicker to a result than with emails. But of course, the first contact is usually via email. I know what you mean. And how long does it take? I can't tell you that. Unfortunately, from 80-90% of the emails, you will never get a reply. It is just like this. And that's not against you. That's not personal. The people are busy and these emails sometimes even go in the spam folder and you don't even see them, right? Depending on so make sure to, at least in the subject line, to make it a bit personal. So don't write any possible collaboration or something, because this sometimes goes in the spam folder. So make sure to research the company and use the subject line for something more personal, and then write very specific emails tailored to this company, and then you should be more likely to get a reply. But even then, 80% will not reply. So just focus on the successful ones. Just keep sending them. Next question from TR. Nice video. I've always wondered which conferences one could visit. Do you have any suggestions? I'm always wondering if people visit conferences within a branch they are specialized in, like renewable energy, or if there are general ones. So you basically have two options to go to conferences. One would be the area that you specialize in, that you want to find clients in, and the other one would be translation conferences or translators conferences, right? They both have very good aspects to it. The translation ones, you will meet colleagues, you will make very important connections, which can also lead to jobs, by the way, right? If people know you in the industry as a certain translator, and they contact you if they have jobs. And it's also, it feels like a team building exercise. That's also very fun. I made a video, you can click here if I can insert it, about conferences. So there are a lot of cool ones for the localization industry. And then on the other hand, the ones I usually visit more often are so-called trade fairs. So these are really conferences within your specialization. That would be IT for me usually. I go to smart device conferences, to hardware, software conferences, really specific technical conferences. And there you can potentially find clients. So it shouldn't be your primary goal there to find clients. If it happens, it's a cool thing. But if you go with this specific goal there, then you're probably going to be disappointed. So the goal should be to just learn more about the things you want to specialize in, because hands-on practice is way more useful than reading things online, right? So really get out there and make connections. Next up, Lisa Hang. What inspired you to come up with your channel name? How long did it take you to come up with? Also, when you work with clients and deliver documents with, for example, MemoQ, do you have to purchase that CAD tool as well? So it didn't take me long at all to come up with the channel name. I knew I wanted to create some kind of universe for freelancers where they can get a one-stop shop for information and content. So I rather quickly merged Freelancer and Universe to Freelanceverse. And then actually the idea of the channel to the creation of the channel, it all happened within one day. So it didn't take me a long time. When I have an idea, I get very motivated about something, and this was one of these very specific motivations that I had, and then just put it into practice. I don't know if I would call it this now with a year of perspective, but I still kind of like the Freelanceverse. It's cool. And yes, so if you work with MemoQ or STL Trados for a client, you don't necessarily need to purchase it. You can work on their server as well. So how this will work, that you would just install the software, and you don't need to buy the tool itself, but they can grant you a license per project. So for example, the client has only one job for you and that's it, right? They can grant you a license for, let's say, 2-3 days, as long as it takes you to deliver this project. So you get an email from STL, like an automated email, where you can just open the file, you can translate it and then send it back to the client. And once you send it back, the license is over. So you can't use it anymore after. This is an option, but of course you have to first check with the client if they are willing to do that. Yasmin Yassin, very nice name. With the next question. Hello Adrian, I would like to ask you a question about how to study every day to maintain your level in the languages that you are translating from at a proficient level. My response to this was read. And I still believe that. I've just read it here on my phone, but it's really true. Reading is by far the best option to keep proficient in your working languages. I try to alternate my books that I'm reading between German, my native, English and French. It's hard to read French books for me, but it's important, so I try to. I don't really read fiction in French. Usually I read fiction in English and German and then something non-fiction in French. The last book I read in French was about sleeping. I think it was called Why We Sleep or The Science of Sleep or something, and really good book. For some reason I can read facts better in French than fiction. I don't know why, but yeah, just find out what works for you and then just keep reading. And if you're not a reading person, you can use podcasts, you can use movies. But probably you're a reading person if you're a translator, I would assume. I guess there are translators who don't like to read, but that would be a bit strange to me. Anyways, consume content in all languages that you're working with, very important. And of course, you work with it every day, so that's also practice, right? And go to the countries, visit the countries. Right now I'm in Morocco and I speak a lot of French here, which is quite cool and interesting, because I feel much less pressure here, because they're very happy when I speak French, and it's quite a nice experience here to use my French and to bring it a bit more up to speed again. This one is going to be a quick one from Islam Belgacem. Hi Adrian, very informative video, thank you. From what I understood, as a freelance translator, you don't need to stick to agencies within your country. Everything is remote. Therefore, if I, for example, stay in France, I could apply for jobs in Canada or anywhere else. Is that correct? Thank you. Yes, absolutely correct. In fact, go even further. I assume when you write Canada, you mean that you can apply in other French-speaking countries, but you can apply in any country, right? Any country has translation agencies who need French translators, and you're probably even more likely to succeed if you apply to non-French-speaking countries, because there less French speakers will apply, if you know what I mean. Reach out to people, don't be afraid to stick to the local market. If you want to be a very localized translator, that's also perfectly fine, right? Don't get me wrong, you don't need to use the world. You can be very specified. You can work only in one region of a country. That can also be very valuable. But yes, you're not restricted to any part of the world. Let's do this one. It's kind of 3 questions in one, but they are all relatively short. From Enrique. Hi, first of all, thanks for sharing your experience. I would love to become a professional translator, but I have some doubts. Is it quite important, the academic degree in translation field? For example, for platforms, etc. In your opinion, which are the main areas for best jobs? In order to be a digital nomad in this field, which are the best tools to maintain a good efficiency in the job? Thank you very much for every word and advice you have shared with us. Question number 1 about degrees. I would advise you to watch this video here that I made about degrees. Yes, you're right, it is quite important. In my opinion, it's much easier to get into the industry with a degree. I couldn't imagine, actually I can imagine, people do it all the time without degree, but it's much easier if you have one. So if you have the means, if you have the money, if you have the time to do it, go for a degree. It's gonna make your life much easier. If you're already a bit older, you have a lot of experience in a different field, you can use this field as an expertise to being a translator in this specific field of expertise, that's also fine. But if you're younger, if you still think about college, then a degree is definitely the way to go. Which are the main areas for the best jobs? If you mean in terms of money, it's best to specialize in a very specific area, in a technical area. So for example, medical is a good one, legal is a good one, IT, really specific engineering things, for example. If you're very experienced in tourism or in luxury products, of course, these more high-end areas, they would also have more wealthier clients and pay well, or just business in general. If you work with high-profile business clients, then these are the more lucrative jobs. If that's what you mean with best jobs, then that's that. If you mean more creative, more beautiful language, then probably literary is the best way to go. However, there is the stereotype that literary translators are not paid enough and not as much as they should, because they are basically like the second author of a book, right? In the end, you have to figure out what works for you. Just make sure you find something that interests you so much that you can read and learn about it every single day. Because if you work in a field that you don't like, you're gonna have a hard time. And the last question of today: in order to be a digital nomad in this field, which are the best tools to maintain a good efficiency in the job? CAD tools are the main thing, basically. You need a good laptop so you can travel around with it. Make sure to have an ergonomic workspace also on the go. So don't just hunch over if you work somewhere on the beach and just hunch over like this. That doesn't work. So whenever I go somewhere, I try to, bring a little laptop stand and a keyboard and a mouse. It doesn't take a lot of space, but you can work in a much more healthy fashion. And then you just need CAD tools. You need an email. You need a good order management tool. A good reception, so you can actually call your clients, right? But I would say CAD tools are the most important, because you have all your data of the jobs you have in these tools. You work with TMs there, so all the translation you do, they are saved in a translation memory that you can then reuse for the client again. And then that's it. Make sure good internet connection, and that's you don't need a lot of things to be a translator, to be honest. Anyone can start it for very little money, right? But make sure to really read about digital nomadism, because it's not as easy as it sounds. It's not as easy as it looks on Instagram, right? I actually looked into it, how it works, about taxes, authorities, where your center of living should be. It's not as easy to do as it looks, but I mean, you can just travel around and go back to your home base and then travel again. Basically, digital nomad light version, I would say, is what I do as well. Yeah, that's all. I hope I answered your questions. Make sure to ask down below the questions for the next Q&A, which will be in the middle of winter. It seems so weird because here it's like 36 degrees, and the next Q&A will be in December. It's very strange how the world works. I hope you have a good day. I'm gonna enjoy the sun a bit more, and then tomorrow I fly back to Belgium. And as always, I see you next Monday with the next video. Bye bye.